This is the Fit Femmes movement. Have you felt overwhelmed with your fitness journey and feel like you just want to give up? Are you a busy female professional or entrepreneur looking for weight loss and self-care solutions that you can squeeze into your hectic schedule? Then you're in the right place. Let's get inspired to make fitness and healthy living improve rather than consume your life. Together, we'll take major strides towards a happier, healthier, even wealthier you. I'm Julia Hickman, your host and coach. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I have the lovely Ilaria Petrucci with me today. She's my guest, and we're going to be talking about money. Yes, very hot topic. We're not just going to be talking about, how to make money. We're going to dive deeper into our money mindset, about some of the money issues that we might have that might be holding us back in our lives, might be holding us back from really up-leveling, being the best versions of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So welcome, Ilaria. I'm so happy to have you here. And I'm just going to let you guys hear a little bit more about her before we get started. So Ilaria believes that our relationship with money is about so much more than just money. So our money story is a self-worth story. And if it isn't working for you, it's time to change it. Upgrading the way you value yourself and your psychology around money is the fastest and only way to get to the next income level and create the life you truly desire. So stop the people-pleasing cycle, own your worth, honor your needs, and create the life you dream of. So Ilaria will tell us a little bit about her journey and how she helps people overcome the destructive and automatic cycle. She uses powerful NLP coaching to help transform on a subconscious level, which really, that is, side note, that's really where you want
magic happens.
Those, yes, that's where the magic happens. That's where you want to create those changes in order for them to be permanent. So Ilaria, she is a self-worth and money behavioral coach. So Ilaria, would you like to tell us a little more about your story, how you got started with this, this awesome service that you provide?
Yes. So what got me here and doing what I do today. So my biggest passion is in showing people and educate people in what is behind money. So we use money in different ways, and obviously we use money every day in our lives. It's like something that is so present in our lives, and a lot of us have dysfunctional behaviors around money where we overspend and then struggle with paying our bills or things like that, or we so easily give money away, but then we struggle and we find it really difficult to spend money on ourselves. We struggle to save, we spend money as soon as the money come in. So there is a lot attached to money, and like you said in my bio, it is beyond money. So for me, it's all about the psychology, the drive that drives our money behaviors. So my story is that I never thought I would do this in my life, because I was never good with money, like I always overspent. I always bought lots of clothes, and I just wasn't really good with money. And I found myself around the age, that was about 6-7 years ago. I was about 33. I'm 39 today. And I found myself one morning, this is how it felt like. I woke up and I was divorced and with no money in my bank account. And I thought, I have been in the UK. So I left home when I was 19, and I've been self-sufficient and independent ever since. So I've worked all my life to pay for, the things I wanted and feed myself. And I thought, how is it that I've worked so hard all my life and I've got nothing to show for it? Something doesn't align, something is not right. So what am I doing why am I doing the things that I'm doing? What is driving this behavior? So I became really curious around these kind of, these questions that came up in my mind. And I thought, I started searching. So I started looking at my behaviors. I've done a lot of work on myself. And when I realized, when I've discovered and learned and developed my awareness around what behaviors were driving me, that's when everything changed for me. When I realized that I was using money to soothe feelings, to numb feelings, to avoid things as a coping strategy for emotions and dealing with my feelings, then I was then able to change it and do something different instead. So I did a lot of work on establishing for example, what my values were and why was I spending money on things and didn't matter. And then when I realized that, I've learned to stop doing that. And actually, like what I always say today with my clients, is put your money where your heart is, right? So put your money where you can see it. So many people say, oh, it's midway through the month and I have no idea where my money is gone. Well, your money is gone where you put it. Money don't spend itself.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself, if you're one of those people that find yourself saying things like this, then just really look, where did you put the money? And if you don't feel like you got anything back from spending the money in that place, in that direction, on those things or those people, then take a step back and ask yourself, what were you actually buying? Right? What were you actually searching or trying to get by spending the money in that place? So for me, spending the money where your heart is one of the biggest things. So for me, it was, I stopped spending money on clothes and I started spending money on traveling, which is a great value of mine, seeing the world. That's where I want to see my money, in memories, in experiences. So I've managed within, not last year because of because of COVID, we couldn't travel. But the 3 years before, I've traveled to Asia with my sister. We traveled a lot. So we went to Asia, Cambodia, Vietnam. We did a tour of LA, San Francisco, we went everywhere. We went to Portugal, Greece, Santorini. So we did travel. And that's where I felt, now I see where I spent my money and I never regret it. I've managed to save money for buying a house. So for me, that was the things that I really wanted in my life that I could never achieve, that I could never afford it because I was spending my money in places where I couldn't see it.
Yeah, that's such a great thing that you mentioned there. And I know that you had also said how, like, the way you do one thing is usually the way you do other things. And that makes a lot of sense, right? Like, it's like, when somebody's trying to improve their eating or when somebody's trying to be more active, it's very similar, right? Like sometimes we use these things. Well, you can kind of compare it in a couple different ways, but I feel like, some people use money or things, like having material things, as a way to soothe themselves, like you said. And it's like the same what they do with food, right?
And it is a distraction to ourselves. So that's why, like, it's great what you said about the relationship and the connection between money and food. And ultimately, the ultimate connection beyond the money and beyond the food, there is love.
Yeah.
Like, some of my favorite questions to ask is, how do you find yourself, how do you give and how do you receive? Because so many people struggle, some people struggle in one direction and some people struggle in another direction. But where you look at your behavior in life, how do you show up with the people you love? How do you show up with money? And how do you show up with food? You start seeing all of the connection. Ultimately, I know using is a heavy word. I don't want to say we're using people, but ultimately this is what we are doing. We're using people, we're using money, we're using food to distract ourselves by ourselves.
Right.
from ourselves.
From
Apologies.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So distract ourselves from ourselves. And that's why for me is that what is beyond. And like I remember in the conversation we had before today, we were saying how I can have the perfect diet plan, I don't like the word diet, and I'm sure you agree with me, but the perfect nutrition plan, right? I can have the perfect nutrition plan, I can have the perfect financial plan. Why can't I stick to it? And the answer is beyond the money and beyond the food. I can't stick to it because I'm using this stuff, whether it's money or food or, some people for other stuff, to avoid dealing with the emotions. So until you look beyond those things, you're not going to resolve the problem, because the perfect financial plan or the perfect nutrition plan is not going to get you what you want. But it's easier. It's easier to buy a nutrition plan, or it's easier to buy a financial plan than sitting down and have some therapy or have some coaching and really look deep inside yourself. And I'm a huge believer that our money problems have got nothing to do with money and everything to do with us and how we value ourselves, our self-worth. And we have to be willing to look deep inside, because otherwise it's always going to be a superficial work, superficial outcomes.
Yeah, that's spot on. I think you really hit that on the nail. You hit the nail on the head. But I also wanted to talk about self-worth, like you mentioned.
Yes.
Because I feel like, especially for women, I feel like, and this can be for men too, but knowing what I've seen and honestly, it's happened to me too before, we feel like the more we have, the more self-worth we have, right? Like, oh, if I buy that expensive handbag, then I'm going to feel more worthy. Or if I make more money, I'm going to feel more worthy. Which also, again, it goes back to how we do one thing is how we do other, like
Yes.
everything else is, we feel like, oh, I need to work so I can make more money, or I need to exercise and exercise and exercise so I can be in the best shape. And then you just, it doesn't always happen that way. It's not doing more. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make more. You're just going to burn yourself out. Same thing with exercise.
Yeah. And that's also why that's not the solution, because how many people, they do the diet, they do well with their financial plan, they start saving, they start losing weight or putting on weight, whatever goal they have. And then something happens and they stop, or they reach their goal weight and then they go back.
Yes.
Right. There is a great book. I can't remember the title now. The Big Leap is a great book. The Big Leap. And he talks about how we have almost like a ceiling and a bottom, our max level of maximum comfort and maximum discomfort. Yeah. So we reach the goal weight, and then it's almost like, I don't know how to handle being beyond this point. So I'm going to bring myself back. So I put the weight on, I spend the money. And then we reach a point where it's like, oh, I'm not happy with myself. I don't know how to handle being more out of shape than what I already feel, or I can't handle having less money than what I have. So we bring ourselves back up. So new nutrition plan, new diet, new exercise plan, new financial plan. And then we bring ourselves back up. And that's the yo-yo, right? Yeah. That's the yo-yo that we go back and forth with. And ultimately, it's always a matter of self-worth. You always end up there. But the thing is that people, when you are in coaching and things like that, people don't come to you for problem of self-worth. It's not so much in the majority of people awareness. People might come to you for self-confidence or self-esteem problem, but ultimately, that when you're working with them, it's always a matter of self-worth. And this is like I was saying before we started recording, I've had it quite often in the last few weeks with my one-to-one clients, where I ask them, what makes you worthy. And what we try to do, our mind is straight away, and if you're listening to this, try and do it yourself. What makes you worthy? You instantly go and try and find proof around your life, things that you've done, things that you accomplished. But ultimately, our worth, it doesn't come from anything that's outside. It doesn't come from the things we do or things that we accomplish or things we have. Like things doesn't come from the stuff we have. We already are worthy. So it's not a matter of becoming worthy. It's a matter of embracing our worthiness and standing that power. So it's nothing outside of us, is within us. So it's not something that we have to become. It's just something that we have to accept that we already are as worthy as we can ever be.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who struggles a lot with instant gratification? Perhaps they're trying to figure out how to maybe deal with those emotions, because they're always finding themselves in situations where they want to do something, but then they're like, oh, I can't afford it. Oh, that's out of my budget. And it's like, whether that's really the truth or it's an excuse for not actually wanting to do whatever that thing is. Let's just say coaching, for example, it's like they want that coaching program, but they're like, I don't know if I can afford it. I don't know, right now I need to, do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
What would you say?
Yes. Oh, so much to say. So one of the things, the first thing that comes to mind is when it comes to, it's not, so when it comes to, what did you ask me again? I think I have so much in my mind that is just gone.
Yeah. So
instant gratification.
Somebody who feels like they want something, but they can't, they're feeling like they can't do it. Maybe it's instant gratification that they're used to instant gratification. So they're sort of scared to do something that might require, financial investment, which they might not see the reward, in a while. What would you say to them?
Yes. So instant gratification is a big one and I think for me, what I see with a lot with people is we really struggle to connect with our future self. So when we might have a vision, we might have a vision board, we might have all our dreams on the wall, but unless we are truly connected with that version of us, it's almost like we're trying to, in the terminology of money, say, for example, we're trying to save for a stranger. And that's why it becomes really difficult to not spend in the present. And a lot of people, there's so many directions I can take this, but a lot of people are more committed. They think about financial freedom as the ability to be able to spend on everything that they want. And that's the wrong way. Don't like to use the word wrong, but it's not the best point to to view this, the point of perception. So financial freedom is not about spending. It's not about valuing spending. It's about valuing savings for that future version of you that we need a pension, for example, especially if you're self-employed, that future version of you that is going to have different needs and different vision and different different needs in their lives. So a lot of us can connect with that version of us in the future, and so it becomes very difficult to save in the present, to give to us in the present. So when it comes to, oh, but I really want to buy this, it becomes very difficult to say no, because making this choice right now won't love me back in the future, and is not aligned with my vision. So for me, choices is our superpower, right? As human beings, we have the power of choice, and it's something that we should be grateful for every single day, especially living in the Western world, right? So we have choices, we have options. So at any time, and this links with becoming responsible and take 100% responsibility for our lives. So you always have a choice. Do I choose to eat this, or do I choose to buy this right now, or do I choose to make the choice that is most aligned with my goal? So make the choice that actually serves my goal and my vision for the future, rather than making the choice that, yes, will give me instant gratification, but is sabotaging my ultimate goal.
Right.
So that's huge, because then every time you make a choice, you're like, okay, I am actually responsible for the outcomes that I create in my life, because I'm the only person responsible for my choices and my reactions to things and how I respond to things. So being aware, having that awareness and asking yourself, which is the choice that's going to love me back the most? What do I really want? And this links back to values. What do you value more? Do you value the instant gratification, or do you value the long-term game?
Love it.
And this links to our inner child. So we can talk about this for hours, but our inner child, so the child in us is always going to want the instant gratification, because it's a child, it doesn't have the adult maturity to think about long-term game. So again, you can look at this conversation as, my child might want the instant gratification, but I'm an adult and I know better, and I choose for the long-term game. And for so many people, this is a huge step forward. So it's a great space of awareness.
I love it. This is so wonderful, and I feel like it's, the type of work that you're doing is so needed. In the world that we live in today, we definitely need that type of support. So, is there anything else that you would like to share? Anything coming up for you that you want to invite people to?
Oh my God, I love to share so much. And when you actually asked me the question about instant gratification, I've had so many links in my head to go in so many directions. And then, like ultimately, I think the message that I want everyone to hear, whoever is listening to this right now, is give yourself the space to value yourself, to really look at where might you not be valuing yourself in your life right now. And a great feedback, a great indication that you might not be putting yourself first, you might not be honoring yourself in some areas, is resentment. So do you feel resentment in any areas of your life? And if so, how can you take responsibility for that? So self-worth is at the core of everything, every outcome that we create in our lives, every choice. So so I love doing this work. Because it's beyond money, it's beyond anything. And once you resolve your self-worth issues, once you bring the awareness and do the work on your self-worth, then your money problems will disappear. Your attachment to food will disappear. Your need to overspend, your need to not spend, because for some people it's the complete opposite, right? And your need to eat when, for the wrong reasons, will disappear. So it is such important work. So how can people find me? So you can find me on Instagram, Ilaria Petrucci _coaching. You can find me on Facebook. I actually have a private Facebook group called the Wealth Circle. So you're more than welcome to join us. It's free. I go live on a regular basis just to share as much training, information, and coaching that I can. And of course, I work with people on a one-to-one private coaching basis.
That's wonderful. So we will share all those links. But if you search her name on Instagram, Ilaria Petrucci, you'll find her. And then her Facebook group is the Wealth Circles. So I will share all those links in the show notes. And it was so wonderful having you on today, Ilaria. Thank you for sharing all of the wealth of information that
Thank you for having me
today for our listeners.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Julia. It was great.
Great. Thank you, everybody who is listening and who is watching on Facebook. And if you have any questions for us, feel free to connect with us. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Femmes movement. I would love to hear your thoughts on the podcast, so please leave us a review. And sharing is caring. If you know someone who may benefit from this episode, please share it with them. We need more women up-leveling to their highest selves with grace, courage, and ease. If you'd like to connect with me more and have access to free live trainings and join a community of hundreds of other amazing women, then join my free Facebook group, the Fit Femmes Tribe.